Hi guys, welcome to ToniRed Diaries, where you meet love, fun, light, and lifestyle, and most especially, Amebo.
Dear Diary, if you've been here before, welcome back. And if this is your first time here, I'm so glad you found us. This is ToniRed Diaries, a space for honest conversations about faith, life, relationships, healing, purpose, and the lessons adulthood doesn't always prepare us for. So grab yourself a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let's spend a little time together. Today, we're returning to a series that's very close to my heart, Finding Your Footing with God. Over the next few diary entries, we'll be talking about friendships, letting go, identity, loneliness, healing, and what it really means to build a life that's rooted in God. So, dear diary, let's begin. Can I tell you something adulthood has taught me? There is a huge difference between the people you think are there for you and the people who are actually there for you. When you're younger, it's easy to think everyone in your life is your person because you see them all the time. But adulthood has a funny way of revealing relationships. It starts asking questions you never thought to ask. Who checks on you when you suddenly go quiet? Who remembers the little things that matter to you? Who celebrates your wins without secretly competing with you? Who only calls when they need something? Who makes time for you instead of only having time when it's convenient? And then I had to ask myself an even harder question. Am I holding on to people because they genuinely love me, or because I'm afraid of letting them go? You know what I've also learned? Not every relationship is supposed to last forever. Sometimes God allows distance so you can finally see what closeness was hiding. Sometimes He removes people because they were attached to your comfort, not your calling. And here's another uncomfortable question. Who in your life actually points you back to God? Because if someone is constantly pulling you away from your peace, your values, your purpose, or your relationship with God, maybe you've been calling access what God has been calling a distraction. As adults, I think we need to stop counting how many people we have around us and start asking whether the people around us are helping us become the person God is calling us to be. Because at the end of the day, I'd rather have 3 people who genuinely pray for me, tell me the truth, and celebrate me, than 30 people who only remember I exist when they need something. What do you think? Has adulthood changed the way you look at your relationships? And here's something that took me even longer to understand. Not everyone who loves you knows how to support you. Those are 2 completely different things. Someone can genuinely love you and still drain you. Someone can love you and constantly discourage your dreams because they're afraid of change. Someone can love you and only know how to love the version of you that never said no. That's why, as adults, we have to stop measuring relationships by history. Just because you've known someone for 20 years doesn't automatically mean they're healthy for your future. History doesn't equal alignment. And another thing, pay attention to how people respond when your life starts changing, when you start setting boundaries, when you stop being available 24 hours a day, when you stop fixing everyone's problems, when you finally choose your peace. Some people will clap for you, others will accuse you of changing, but maybe you were supposed to. Growth changes people, healing changes people, getting closer to God changes people. So if someone says you've changed, maybe the better question is, was I supposed to stay the same forever? Sometimes we're so busy trying to keep everyone comfortable that we become strangers to ourselves. And I honestly believe God never intended us to lose ourselves just to keep other people happy. So here's the question I'm still asking myself. Who actually loves me? And who just loves the version of me that was easiest to use? Now let's talk about the part nobody prepares you for, letting go. Because letting go isn't always dramatic. Sometimes there's no big fight, no betrayal, no shouting. Sometimes You just slowly realize you've outgrown each other. The conversations become one-sided. The effort becomes one-sided. The prayers become one-sided. You're the one always checking in, always planning, always forgiving, always understanding, always reaching out first. At some point, you have to ask yourself, if I stop trying today, would this relationship still exist 6 months from now? That question changed my life, because some relationships are being carried, not shared. And carrying people for years is exhausting. Now, don't misunderstand me. As Christians, we're called to forgive. We're called to love. We're called to show grace. But nowhere does God tell us to remain in relationships that constantly rob us of our peace, our dignity, or our purpose. Even Jesus stepped away from crowds. Even Jesus had moments where he withdrew. Even Jesus let people walk away. Read that again. Sometimes we think love means never creating distance, but healthy love also knows when to leave room for God to do what only He can do. You cannot heal people by sacrificing yourself forever. You cannot save people who don't want to change. And you cannot keep setting yourself on fire just to keep everyone else warm. So maybe the relationship isn't ending because you failed. Maybe it's ending because God is making room for what's next. If you've stayed with me this far, I think this is the most important part of the whole conversation, because after all the heartbreak, after all the disappointment, after all the people who didn't show up, there's one relationship that can never be neglected: your relationship with God. You know what I've noticed? The more secure I became in God's love, the less desperate I became for everyone's approval. When you know who God says you are, you stop chasing people to convince them of your worth. You stop begging for seats at tables where your presence isn't valued. You stop shrinking so other people can feel bigger. You stop confusing attention with love. You stop confusing familiarity with loyalty. And here's the beautiful thing: God has never asked us to build our identity on people. People change, feelings change, circumstances change, but God doesn't. Maybe that's why disappointment hurts so much. Sometimes we've been expecting people to give us something only God can consistently provide: perfect peace, security, identity, unconditional love. People will fail you. You and I will fail people too. We're human, but God remains faithful. So maybe adulthood isn't about finding perfect friends. Maybe it's about becoming whole enough in Christ that you can love people without depending on them to complete you. That's the lesson I'm still learning every single day. And honestly, it's brought me more peace than trying to hold on to people who were never meant to stay. Because at the end of it all, the safest place you'll ever build your life is close to God. Can I challenge something that I used to pray for all the time? I used to ask God, please restore every relationship. Now I pray differently. I ask God to reveal, because restoration isn't always the answer. Sometimes revelation is. Sometimes God lets you see someone's heart, not because He wants you to hate them, but because He wants you to stop pretending you don't see what's already there. How many times have we ignored red flags because we didn't want to lose people? How many times have we called something a bad season when it had become a bad pattern? There's a difference. A season has an end. A pattern repeats itself until something changes. One thing I've learned is this: God rarely forces people to stay in your life, but He will often expose whether they should. Sometimes we spend years praying for God to fix people, while He's quietly trying to heal us from needing them so much. And maybe that's the miracle. Not that they come back, but that one day you no longer need them to. That kind of freedom only comes from God. I'm still learning every single day, and honestly, it's brought me more peace than trying to hold on to people who were never meant to stay. Because at the end of it all, the safest place you'll ever build your life is close to God. Being alone is not the same as being abandoned. There was a season where I thought silence meant God had forgotten me. I thought weekends with no invitations meant something was wrong with me. I thought if my phone wasn't ringing, I wasn't important. But God started teaching me something beautiful. Solitude isn't punishment. Sometimes it's preparation. Some of the strongest people you'll ever meet weren't built in crowds, they were built in quiet places. David learned to trust God in fields before he ever stood in a palace. Moses spent years in the wilderness. Jesus often withdrew to lonely places to pray. Maybe the quiet season you're trying to escape is the very place where God is teaching you who you are. When you're constantly surrounded by noise, it's hard to hear his voice. So don't rush every lonely season. Sometimes God removes the distractions, so you'll finally notice he's been there all along. If you've watched every part of this series, I hope you remember this one thing. People will disappoint you, friends will change, family will misunderstand you, dreams may take longer than you expected, life will shake, but your foundation doesn't have to. Jesus once told a story about two people who built houses. Both experienced storms. The difference wasn't the storm. The difference was the foundation. One built on sand, one built on rock. That's adulthood. Storms are guaranteed. Heartbreak is guaranteed. Disappointment is guaranteed. The question isn't whether life will shake you. The question is what you've built your life on. If your identity is built on people's opinions, you'll crumble when they reject you. If it's built on success, you'll struggle when things don't go according to plan. If it's built on money, you'll panic every time your circumstances change. But if your life is rooted in God, you'll bend without breaking. And no, that doesn't mean life becomes easy. It means you never face it alone. So maybe finding your footing with God isn't about becoming perfect. It's about choosing every single day to stand on something that doesn't move when everything else does. And that's the invitation, not to have all the answers, but to know the one who does. Well, that's today's diary entry. Thank you for spending this time with me. If today's conversation encouraged you in any way, I'd love for you to become part of the ToniRed Diaries family. Subscribe and turn on notifications because we're just getting started with our Finding Your Footing with God journey, and I can't wait to share the next diary entry with you. And if today's conversation spoke to your heart, let me know in the comments. I genuinely love to hear your story because someone else reading it might find hope in it too. Until the next diary entry, keep choosing faith even when life doesn't make sense. Keep your heart close to God, and remember, every page has a purpose, even the ones you don't understand yet. I'll see you in the next diary.